What is up guys, Kane here, and in this video we're going to cover up the dragons for early and mid game. Keep in mind that majority of this information will be for the dragons used in the early to mid game and not the late game. And also keep in mind that this will also be based on my own opinion and my own experiences. So for the people that are in the late game, the information in this video may not be as useful. So let's start from the types of the dragons. We have fire dragon, we have the black dragon, we have the yellow dragon, the green dragon, and the blue dragon. Each of them perform different things. The fire dragon is like the offensive type, the black dragon is like very offensive control based dragon. The Topaz one is probably one of the useless dragons in the game. There's only one use for it, and that's like in the early game and very limited. The Green Dragon can be used to nullify the early insane burst damage from some compositions or formations, but after that, I don't think that it's that good. I mean, quite a lot of players may deem it very good in the late game, but this dragon, early to mid or even way past the mid stages in the game, this dragon is just useless. Anyone that I face that has this dragon, I just entirely wipe the field in like a few seconds after one of his main skills pop off. So um, there is not really any good things that I may say about this dragon. And the blue dragon. Now, as you can see, I'm using the blue dragon as basically my red dragon that I had, or the fire dragon. It became pretty bad in terms of PvP, and since my formation is based on PvP, I had to redo another dragon, and I don't have luck with the black dragons. I wanted to get a black dragon for the shape of like CC to have more CC, but about 25 Onyx dragons, whether it be legendary or divine, first skill reset, I removed the most important skill on the dragon. Now, I don't know if it's my bad luck or just the game wants me to dick me over, but that aside, the blue dragon. So we're gonna start with it, with the one that I'm using. So, why would you want to use a blue dragon and when? The thing is, this dragon is probably one of the better or best dragons in the very late game. The reason for that is one of his abilities called the Noble Blood. When on the battlefield, it reduces physical damage dealt on your army by 15%, and at the same time, it heals all of the units by almost 1% health per second, which is quite a lot. Keep in mind, if majority of the fights last like 2 minutes, right? You have about 120 seconds worth of like healing from here, which is quite a lot. Keep that in mind. The other skills are pretty generic for like the dragon. You have the hailstorm, which can be changed, but the thing is, I didn't really want to mess up my hero predation, so I just didn't risk my dragon at all. Because luck with dragons is just, you have to pray for it if you want to have a good dragon, or I don't know, like you have to have luck, which you would be able to win a lottery or something. So other than that, I have like the trinity of the dragon skills which you have to have if you want your dragon to be any decent in terms of like doing damage. So energy pulse, arcane, and then the magic swell. So those three are pretty much the generic skills for the dragon to do damage. But at the same time, as you can see, it says increases magic damage and healing efficacy, which means the noble blood in a sense gets boosted up a little bit as well in terms of the recovering health per second. So that aside, I have one advanced skill which is called the DRAGONSCALE Heart. Now, out of all the three skills that are currently out, this is probably the most important skill to have on your dragon. Whatever people might tell you, this skill is the most important on your dragon. Now it says reduces all damage taken by 28%, which is pretty goddamn strong. And then it says grants 20% chance of healing damage taken. Now it's not 20% as said in like majority of the videos. This 20% is like from 35 to 50%. I can say it hands down. This 20% procs so friggin' much that either there is a bug in the system or it's, as I said, like 35 to 50% in majority of the cases. So that aside, it gives you also health by 30% and reduces the enemy critical hit rate and critical hit damage. So in a sense, this skill reduces so much damage from the enemies that they may not even do damage from you in regards to reducing crit rate and crit damage, as well as reducing all damage taken and perhaps healing it from the enemy. Now, in some cases, the enemy may be hitting your dragon, and your dragon will be healing more from the, let's say, army or armies hitting it. So, this can also happen. There are other two skills. Let me find it so I can comment about them. So, the other two skills, one of them is the Draconic Blessing, which increases the damage dealt by ranger troops by 30%, and their attack speed and damage mitigation by 3%, stacking 6 times at the max level. So, this is pretty much increasing your archer's damage, which in this game, it depends really what time in the server or realm you are, how much you have spent, or how much you invested into particular stuff. So, in some cases, most of the time, heroes will be your main damage dealers, which for me, they actually were for more than half of the time. For others, the archers will be the highest DPS majority of the time. It really depends who you're fighting, how much CC the enemy does on you, and how well your heroes are placed and how well they're performing. So this one will buff them quite well, but keep in mind that this says while the dragon is on the battlefield. So if you don't have the dragon scale heart, this dragon is going to die in like a couple of hits. Like if somebody would tag your dragon and you don't have the dragon scale heart, your dragon dies in like 2 seconds. And there are no exceptions. And if you do have this dragon scale heart, your dragon is going to survive for quite a long time. So if you would want to pair the skills, or do you want me to rank them, so Dragon Scale Heart and then the Draconic Blessings. And then you have the Dreambreaker. Now quite a lot of players are saying like this skill is insanely powerful and it does a lot, and I have faced a lot of players even stronger than me, even VIP 15s with proper formations and having this. Like this one, it doesn't do that much, at least in my eyes. Now it says it reduces attack speed by 50% and evade chance and does some damage, and honestly, like this doesn't really look that overpowered to me. So for example, it lowers attack speed by 50%. I'm not sure how it is counted down or how it is removed, but let's say, let me show you my archers. So at the moment I'm upgrading the archers. Sometime soon my stats will be a lot better, probably like a couple of weeks. So my archers have 2.5 attacks per second. So essentially it starts at 1 and 0 0, and I have, I think, 144% attack speed or even more added in here. And then that 50% will just remove like 50 from this, so it will be like 1.94 or something like that. So it doesn't have that huge effect, at least to me, since I'm playing Rakan, and because I'm playing Rakan, I have a turtle which will increase my attack speed by like 30% at the beginning of the match. And then I have talk with, let me just show you 1 second. and I have talk with level 10 turtle mastery, level 10 heavyweight, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, like that attack reduction stuff, perhaps I don't notice it because I already reached like the cap of the attack speed and it barely does any effect on me. So it could be the reason why I don't really see, the minuses in receiving those debuffs. But for me, like I said, that skill doesn't look as overpowered as quite a lot of people make it to be. And the thing is, because it doesn't look as overpowered as people say it, at least in the early to mid game, it can easily be replaced. Now, in terms of like comparing the other two, the Dragon Scale Heart, like this skill, will make your dragon survive like 20 seconds longer than usual, or even not die at all. So, for example, if you have a really good decked out black dragon, in the early to mid game, that black dragon can solo the entire field almost, or like half of the field with this one skill. If you have the draconic archer blessings, you are gonna have an easier time in PvE content because your archers will do an insane amount of damage. So pretty much this is the difference, and like the other one provides some CC in like PvP or whatever, but it doesn't really have that much of an impact as it should bring, at least in my eyes. And because it doesn't bring that much impact in my eyes, it can easily be replaced by another skill, which eventually will come out and it will be more overpowered. So, for example, we're missing a few skills that people are predicting we will have. And skills that people predict are, in a sense, something that will do damage, right? So, if they bring in a skill or the advanced skill that will do an insane amount of damage, you will essentially swap with either one of the things like energy pulse, or you will swap out the another advanced skill, which would be like the CC one. Because, majority of the skills on the dragon, like noble blood, like dragon scale heart, scales, arcane, in some cases even swell, are pretty goddamn important depending on your formation. Now I'm just giving like examples. So for example, me myself, I would change the hailstorm. Then essentially I would change like the pulse, unless like I wouldn't have anything that would proc the magic swell. Then I would change the swell before the repulse and stuff like that. There are exceptions to almost everything, and you have to look at stuff what will be better for you. So aside from my dragon, the draconic. Now, as you can see, the draconic, I almost have it maxed, but not yet. So in terms of which dragon you're going to pick, you will have to pick most of these based on the dragon. So if you have a red dragon, then you're gonna pick destruction first. If you have a black dragon, destruction first and then affliction. If you're gonna have a yellow dragon, destruction and then affliction. If you're gonna have a green dragon, then you're gonna go protection and affliction. Blue dragon, protection and affliction, because it is like a support utility dragon. In some cases you can go destruction, but advise the latter two. So let's cover up the other dragons. So the fire dragon. This dragon is pretty much one of the better dragons in terms of early to mid game. The reason for that is two of the skills that the dragon has. One is the Conflagration, which can kill entire backlines in seconds from the early to mid game. If your dragon is decently upgraded and you're not like 5 castle levels below the guy you're fighting, this skill will proc this damage like 60 times. I'm not sure if it's 60 times, but like it procs the damage so friggin' much that in a span of 5 seconds it will just kill the archers if even this skill touches those archers by the tip. So the squad will take so much damage that essentially the squad will just entirely run away. That is like the best part of this skill, that the damage you see here is quite a lot of times higher than just this number. because it can proc like I said, like 50 times, maybe like 40, maybe 60 times, I don't know. And the other skill is the incendiary scales. Now this skill is probably the most overpowered thing in the game in the early to mid game. This skill can win you a lot of PvP and all that kind of stuff. So if you have a proper dragon with skills, with hero predation, it's decently decked out, and you have like the dragon scale heart, this dragon will just walk forward. So nobody's going to stop this dragon if you have the rampage, if you have scales, if you have pulse, arcane blessing, magic swell. This dragon is just walking forward and obliterating anything. Heroes, army, archers, enemy dragon, he's going to kill everything. So I've had this dragon for from castle level 10 to 15 to castle level 42, I think. And up until castle level 40, this dragon was insanely overpowered, like top 3 DPS, sometimes even top 1 by a large amount, every single battle. And considering that I was pretty good in terms of fighting even VIP 15s with this dragon, it was quite overpowered. But after Castle 40, this dragon just became one of the bigger liabilities on my field. He wasn't able to do damage. He was tagged, but he survived the tag for like 30 seconds. But then my field did nothing because they didn't have damage, so I lost anyway, majority of the times. Now, I'm not sure what happened and why did the enemy not take damage, but somewhere around Castle 40 and above, like the enemy just doesn't take damage from this dragon anymore. Like most of the fights, this dragon was doing like 7 from 50 to I don't know 175, 150 million damage. And past Castle 40, this dragon was doing like 20 to 50 million maximum. Like very rarely it even hit like 100 million. And due to that reason, a DPS dragon not hitting proper numbers is a pretty bad dragon, and a lot of other dragons could actually perform a lot better, like a black dragon, for instance. So, this dragon is only good up until Castle 40 or even close to 40, and after that, you have to swap it out. Unless, of course, something happens in the future, some skills get changed, then it's a whole different story. So, Black Dragon. This dragon is probably one of the most overpowered dragons in the early to mid game. I don't think it's as overpowered in the early as it is overpowered in the mid game. Has a lot of uses, even has a lot of PvE uses, and there is even a trick with one of the events. So, his abilities. There are a couple of abilities which are pretty goddamn powerful. One of them is the Graviton Surge. It summons 3 black balls, or if you have a hero named Cleo, it will summon something like her ultimate in 3 locations. And it will control the enemy for a portion of the seconds at the very beginning of the fight. And then you have the Eternal Void. So basically, this skill, if anything on your field dies, it will have a small chance to summon a black hole like the Graviton Surge and control the enemy for some seconds while doing damage as well. Keep in mind, this damage can also proc the true damage from the Draconic Blessing. So, the more your army dies, the stronger, or rather, the more damage this dragon will do on the enemy field. So if you're playing a Lich with the undead skeletons, so if they die and revive and die, that's a lot more chances for this dragon to cast the Eternal Void. So in a sense, in mid-game, a black dragon in Lich race is doing about 150 million damage almost every fight. And if it has like the dragon scale hearts, it's not going to die and it will still do 150 even if you tag the dragon. So it's very hard to fight against dragons like this, and it's very hard to even siege castles with this dragon just because of this one skill on the dragon. So in a sense, if you want to have some fun in PvP, if you want to pass PvE content, which is rather quite hard, you may want to work on a Black Dragon. So the skills should be Graviton Surge, Eternal Void, Pulse, then you will need the Corrosive Scales, then you will need the Swell, the Arcane Blessing, and then you will need Hero Predation, which this dragon doesn't have. Now, the last skills can be either the advanced skills, and if you don't have advanced, you can add Cosmic Storm. Keep in mind that it is very hard to add skills on the dragon, and every time you do it, you have a chance to screw up your dragon. And by screw up your dragon, you can lose the predation, which is here very easily. And if you have a hero predation means you're going to do more damage on enemy heroes. It means the enemy heroes get debuffs, which they will do less damage from as well. And that is pretty much the most important part of a dragon. 1 second, as shown here, reduces accuracy of enemy, attack speed of enemy, and also damage of enemy, while increasing the damage you do on them and also some buffs for your army as well. So pretty much that is the reason why you would want to have that. So that's pretty much the skills. So where would you want to use it? Like I said, wall defense, pretty much one of the best places to do, but like I am in a server which is in Drake and has some war, so you're bound to see walls like this whenever you go to Drake or stuff like that. If there's war, your wall defense is gonna look like this, so don't be afraid of that. The other thing would be one of the events, which 1 second, is called the Kingdom Guardian. Now it's not here, but using a black dragon with Eternal Void, using Gazul, and using the frontline skeletons, more or less you can make a formation to the point that you can just survive 1 minute and 30 seconds just through having your undead skeletons die, revive, proccing the Eternal Void, which procs like the Graviton Surge balls, and then you control the enemy, even if it is like 6 tiers above you, and you can still pass the event and get all of the materials in this event. And keep in mind, there are so much materials in this event that if you don't reach stage 50, you're losing out a lot. And I do mean a lot. Like, your aim is not to rank high in this event, your aim is to pass it to stage 50, and quite a lot of players fail to do that. So if you don't know how, Black Dragon, Eternal Void, and also skeletons from the Lich Race, paired with the Gazul's Revival, just to let you know quickly before we go somewhere else. So Skeleton Mastery, Immortal Strength. So 3 dragons aside, the yellow dragon. This dragon has only one good thing, and that is one of his skills. 1 second. The skill is called the lightning rod. So basically this skill is only very good in the early game, which you can target the enemy heroes or majority of the enemy heroes because they're higher level and the army has almost no health. So if you have proper Draconic, this lightning rod can one-shot about 10 heroes of your enemy at the very beginning of the match. And if that happens, you pretty much win the match when you just feel this dragon. So this dragon can be good from, let's say, castle 30 to 35-ish, at around that point. It can be decent, I believe, from castle 20 to 30 as well, but it won't do as much damage unless you build it to do damage. And in a sense, you will need something like this, Fatal Blows, which increases crit chance and then increases critical hit damage. So in a sense, this will also boost the damage of the lightning rod and all that kind of stuff. Like, of course, you're going to need the magic swell, rather not magic swell, the arcane blessing, which will increase magic damage. Like there are a lot of nuances like that, but the window where this dragon is good and then it becomes literal garbage is very small to even begin to investing into it. So not advised to ever use a yellow dragon at the moment. Really friggin' bad. And the last one is the green dragon. So I have explained the blue dragon, which is sort of like a healer slash buffer, something like that. This one is like one of the healing dragons or the best healing dragon in the game, in a sense, I suppose. So one of the stronger skills of the dragon is called Call of the Wild. It summons 3 fountains around the dragon for I think 11 seconds on rank 100, and each fountain will heal the units and provides them with damage mitigation. Now I'm not sure on the max numbers of the health restored and also the mitigation, but I know both of these numbers increase. I think I've seen like more than 40 or more than 50% damage mitigation, but there are no green dragons on my server or not very visible, so I cannot really check without spending like half an hour trying to find it anywhere. So don't quote me on that. The other skill is called Rebirth. So when the dragon is on the battlefield, friendly humanoid and magical units have a chance to resurrect and recover a portion of the health plus 35% of their max health upon death. One resurrection per unit does not affect summon units. So the chance increases as the dragon levels up to 33% chance to resurrect, so 1 1/3 chance to do so. So I know the health will increase. I don't know if the percent would also increase. I think it does as well. So in a sense, this kind of feels like it's pretty good, but honestly, I don't think that this is an overpowered skill. Like this one, having a lot of mitigation granted for like even 12 seconds is overpowered. Getting units revived, I don't think that's over. Yes, it's gonna buy you some time, but mm, I I don't think that this is quite a bit. Like if your army is falling, even having a few revived units, it's just gonna buy you a split second or less, or even 1 to 2 seconds. Now it depends what you do in those 2 seconds, whether this can be good. And pretty much other stuff is generic, really. If you're early to mid game, do not use the yellow dragon and do not use the green dragon. And if you're in the early game, do not use the blue dragon as well. So if you're in the early game, you're a new guy, you're trying the game out, black dragon or the red dragon. If you're a new guy and you're experienced in the game, experienced in events, then you have to pick the Ruby Dragon or the Fire Dragon. If you're like average in stuff and you want to perform decent in PvP, then you have to have Black Dragon and you have to have proper skills. So, like again, proper skills on the Black Dragon. Need to make sure you have hero predation. So again, showing you what hero predation looks like. It's this skill right here, right? Which debuffs the enemy heroes. Other than that, that's pretty much it covering for the dragon. There's not that much to cover up until I have unlocked like the full Draconic, which is just 4 more skill points left. Hopefully this was kind of useful and eye-opening in terms of the dragon. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay safe out there.